What's up, Thumpers? Welcome back to another episode of Hyper Heroes here on Hyper Rabbit Power Go.
I'm trying to fast forward time.
Are you?
So we can get to Endgame and figure out what the fuck is going on. Hi, guys.
Isn't it crazy that we're officially in March? Mm-hmm. That movie is 1 month away.
I know.
Mm-hmm. That's bananas.
Yeah. Really?
Isn't
March 1st?
Months away?
It's
March 1st.
It's April
today.
26th. And we're in March officially.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a month and a half, like month and 3 weeks.
Well, actually,
2
March
months.
2nd, right?
Yeah, March 2nd.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Though. Time flies, man.
I know.
Feels like the year just started.
It really did, but this event is just, I can't stop thinking about it. No
Dude,
joke. Like
y'all know I've been doing nothing but nonstop thinking about it.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
I've been sending you, my guy,
I can't
like
wait till
my
we
stuff.
can announce this stuff. It's gonna be good. We got a good stuff coming up.
Knee deep in it. We're also going to go see Captain Marvel on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
On
we are
Lunes.
seeing. Yes, we
On
are seeing
Lunes.
Captain Marvel
What time?
Monday.
What time?
7.
Seven, dude.
Seven.
Seven, dude.
Hey.
You guys, I brought some toys.
Ooh, some
Oh,
Captain
that's
Marvel
right.
toys.
Yeah.
Do we want to? And let's be clear too. These are not for you. These are my toys.
Son of a.
Do you
All right,
want
well.
to? They're Marvel Legends Build-A-Figures, and I was lucky enough to get my hands on the Captain Marvel series. Do
Okay.
you guys want to crack them open as we do this episode?
Yeah, we can
and
just talk
Sure.
and actually
we can
build.
talk
Have you
and-
guys ever had the joy of building a Build-A-Figure?
No.
No, I don't have the
It's
time.
incredibly satisfying. It's incredibly satisfying to get the action figures where there's a piece of another character
Yeah.
in each, and then you put them together, and you're like, dude, I have a bonus toy.
Do you know who the extra character is?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's on the box.
Yeah, it says who
Yeah.
you build.
You want to get into
Bring
it?
them out.
Okay.
Let's have Adam do the
First
stuff.
up, this is Janice Vell. This is a comic book character. Who wants to
Mijo.
open
We got to
this?
do some housekeeping.
You want to do it?
I'll
We
do
got to do some
housekeeping.
housekeeping while you
Do you want
bust
to
those
open
out.
this one, or do you want to open this one?
Just bring them out and then
All
we'll
of them?
open them. Yeah.
Well, I was kind of going to reveal them one at a time.
Oh, okay. Well, then reveal them and then we'll do the housekeeping.
Janice Vell.
Just throw him down here.
In
Throw
the
him down
comic
here.
book, and not in the movie, okay, but still part of the, related to Captain Marvel in the
Yeah.
comics. Next up, comic book character, Grey Gargoyle. Oh, this piece of shit. This guy's French. He's a real douche. This
a
guy's
real
great.
He's
son
a
of a
real
bitch.
skadoosh.
The Build-A-Figure is the Kree Sentry, which I'm pretty sure is the
Oh,
comic
okay.
book Kree Sentry. I'm pretty sure, but there's
Yeah.
and you can read a little bio of him on the back.
Okay.
And then next up we have my dude. Here's a movie character. This is Jan Rog.
Gotcha.
Who I'm
Jude Law.
pretty sure is Jude Law. So there we
Yeah.
go. There's Jan Rog. He's one of
Yeah.
the Kree characters.
That's
next
the rumor,
up.
yes.
We have let's see, which one is this one? I think it's this one. Next up we have Captain Marvel with Goose the cat.
Okay.
Boom,
okay.
boom, boom, with the
Oh,
leather
she's
jacket.
holding him. That's adorable.
Yeah, she's holding him.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And then we have, oh shit, Skrull, baby, Talos.
Talos. Ben Mendelsohn.
Okay.
Is this Ben Mendelsohn? Is this
Okay.
Mendo?
Yeah, there's Mendo.
Oh, dope.
It's
That's
Mendo.
Mendo.
El Mendo.
Then we have young Nick Fury, Sam
Oh,
Jackson.
that's so good.
Wow.
1995.
If you could just see the hairline on this
Oh,
on this
it's pretty
photo,
awesome.
I'm like,
He is lined up.
It's pretty
Samuel
awesome.
Jackson doesn't have a hairline that's that high.
No.
It's pretty great. Well, that's probably
Now he
with
does.
CG stuff. And then, of course, like the
OG.
the OG, the
Okay,
regular,
okay.
like
She's got a replaceable head.
end of
just
the
in case.
movie.
So
yeah.
this is casual Carol.
Yeah, and this is like ass-kicking
Casual
Carol.
I wish they
Casual
would have
Carol.
labeled it casual
Yeah.
Carol.
Ass-kicking Carol. There you have
Yeah,
it.
There you go.
all right,
With all
all right.
those
Dang,
figures,
that's a collect.
We shall
Dude.
build.
the Kree Sentry.
Yeah.
All right, who's opening
Boom,
what's opening
boom.
what?
I don't know,
Well, let's
y'all have
Hector,
fun opening.
Hector, you and I will start. Adam's got to do some
I'm gonna do a
housekeeping
little bit
because
of
we got a new
housekeeping.
sponsor. Is it a new sponsor?
We did.
Ooh.
So we got a really cool new sponsor. This one is very, very simple. This literally doesn't require you to buy anything.
Okay.
Our sponsor for the week is Retail Me Not. Retail Me Not is a nice little genie that you can add to your browser that gives you nice savings on products that you buy.
Oh,
It
cool.
basically searches the web for coupon codes and cashback deals whenever you're shopping, so you can save money. Literally, all you have to do is go down to the description, click the link, install the extension into your Chrome browser. It only works for people in the United States right now. But when you do that, that supports us, that supports Hyper, and it helps us keep everything on.
Is there a code that they need to put in when they download
There's
this?
a link down in the description. It's
Gotcha.
literally 2
Gotcha.
clicks. You click
Okay.
on the link, it forwards you to a new window.
Guys.
You install the extension, and you can shop or maybe earn some savings on some
I've been
stuff.
using
That's
another
dope.
one. I think it's called like Stevia or something like that. It's not that great, but I'll use this one. Yeah.
And it supports Hyper.
Yeah. Okay.
So do it.
Yeah.
That's
Do
Go
it.
awesome.
down into the description.
Yeah.
Click the button.
Do
click
it
the
now.
link.
Do it now.
Do it.
It costs you nothing.
Also, it has officially been 2 years since we joined Hyper.
That's
RPG.
right.
Congrats, dude. I love
Lucas,
you guys.
where's our birthday cake, homie?
Dude, you'd shit your pants if I brought it.
I would shit my pants every month.
Yes, actually, we would. Actually, yes.
Oh my God.
We would legit shit our pants, Lucas.
I mean, I kind of already did. Oh,
Gross. Put your wee back in. But yeah, so it's been 2 years since we joined the Hyper family. We've had a lot of fun here. We're going to continue making really cool stuff. It's been nuts. You know, we kind of came in. It was a whirlwind for us getting here.
Yeah.
And once we got here, we really found our footing, and it's been really fun to hang out with all the Thumper family.
Yeah, definitely.
And hang out with all the hosts that are here and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And Hyper's become a really cool home for all of us. So we're super thankful for the community. We're super thankful for everyone behind the scenes helping us out every week to make cool content.
Yep.
Otherwise, we'd still be shooting this in my bedroom.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
You know what? Those were good times,
They
but
were.
I feel like we needed to grow and evolve, and this
Oh,
was
for
the
sure.
perfect place for us to come. And
Yeah.
We need to
And
give
like-
Adam his privacy.
well, that too. I
Yeah.
mean, I felt bad coming into Adam's room and just like cramping his
I know.
style.
My favorite thing, though, will always be Cynthia falling asleep on my computer chair.
Oh, well, yeah.
And then falling off of it.
Falling off of it.
I don't have
Mid-nap.
insurance for your injuries.
Mid nap. That was great.
Smile and Tone, our buddy Smile and Tone, has a question for us.
Oh.
How has being together for 2 years at Hyper RPG changed your lives and your most favorite times together? And what are your most favorite times together at Hyper and all of your goals for the future?
That's a lot of
I
questions.
got a lot of favorite times, but let's start off with the first part. How has it changed my life being a Hyper RPG? Well, honestly, I wouldn't have any kind of a Twitter following. I mean, I don't think if it wasn't for Hyper RPG and the support that Zach and Lucas and everybody and Malika and everybody who gave us support.
Except Amir, not Amir.
Not Amir, no. Amir's he smells bad. Without them, honestly, I don't feel like the way we came into here, I felt burnt out, and I don't feel like I would have continued doing YouTube. You know, and so I feel like people send us messages on Instagram and stuff. They're like, "Oh, you guys should form our channel," blah blah blah. I don't think people understand how much time and dedication it takes to build a successful YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And coming into a platform, we were lucky that our friends are dope and they let us come in and do our thing and basically share in their success. And it's been amazing. So it's changed my life in such a positive way. And I feel like you guys are just like my friends and coworkers, but firstly friends.
Yeah.
Like everybody behind the scenes.
For sure.
So you guys have created a big network for me here in LA as well. So it's great. Like it's been super positive for me all the way around.
Yeah.
And I get to play with toys all day.
I have to echo a lot of that.
That's a rad looking action figure.
This one's really
Check
dope,
this out,
actually.
dude. Check this shit out.
That's
Dude,
really
with
dope
the
as well.
mohawk?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's rad.
That's rad.
And it's
But
like,
no, I agree. And, you know, like when we were doing stuff on our own, it was tough because we were really sort of like responsible for keeping the whole thing going all the time. And, you know, we tried doing as much as we could behind the scenes to really sort of streamline the whole process. But it was what Lucas is doing right now, cutting in between graphics and all sorts of stuff.
Cut real quick, Lucas. Cut real quick.
That was
graphic.
That was
Whoa.
That was stuff that I was trying to do while we were doing a show. So like I'm trying to like steer a show in a direction, do all the graphics, and like make sure that we're like, you know, everything's working. It was really, really hard. So that has been incredibly helpful being here at Hyper. Is now that we have, you know, amazing people like Lucas behind the scenes to help us and to support us and to like encourage us, like, hey, like let's try to make the show better.
Yeah.
Let's try new stuff. Let's do all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Like that has been super, super cool. And it's allowed us to really engage with everybody in the community on a weekly basis. And because of that, we are less than 1,000 subscribers from hitting 100,000 subs.
I never imagined the day.
I know. It's been a long road for us. Like we had a YouTube channel two channels ago. Like we did this, and then before we were at Superhero News, and before that we had a channel called the Film Pundits.
Yeah.
And it was kind of that thing where it's like, it wasn't really growing. We didn't really know if it was going to be successful.
No.
So we jumped around. We did other stuff, and you know, it sucked because like we left the last channel and we left all the subscribers behind. A lot of people were nice enough to come over to Hyper.
Yeah.
And for 2 years, we really helped sort of like build the YouTube community here.
Yeah.
So it's been crazy, and the fact that like any day now between now and like
next couple months,
I
I
think
think
we'll hit 100,000.
Yeah.
It's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be.
We're gonna have to celebrate. God damn it!
Yeah, Lucas, I want a cake. Damn it!
Or your eggs Benedict.
Oh yeah, candied bacon.
Hector.
yo, dude, how did you do this?
How did I do what?
How did you fuck this up so much? I can't put it back.
It's not me.
No one else touched this. It is you. Augustine,
what are you talking about?
You know how my life has changed? I became better friends with you guys, even though we were already really good friends when we came over to Hyper, and the same with everybody at Hyper.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really cheesy to say, but like we're all busy with just like regular life stuff, let alone like work, trying to do any career stuff.
Yeah.
The fact that we force ourselves to hang out once a week, even if it's for doing a show and work, it still feels like we're just hanging out.
Yeah.
And we've gotten to know each other.
Right.
And
we went to Europe together. That shit was
I
fun.
know that shit was dope. That was
man,
real dope.
my life is better for it. So that's how my life has changed. Except I don't know how my friend Augustine messed up this trash so much.
I don't think you want to give me toys.
It's a very simple procedure, my friend. You take your fingernail, you do the one thing, you flip the flap open, you pull the thing out.
I don't have Coke dealer fingernails like you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Booger sugar. What did you? It doesn't even mathematically fit. You've got like a different package for a different toy.
Oh my god, this is the most
what
derailed
happened?
show we've ever had in the
What the
history
hell?
of the
We're
show.
trying to be all like sincere and shit.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to reverse engineer another one.
Oh my god!
Like a factor coming at me like, okay, how did he? And then put this together in this
So
way.
what was the second part of the question, Adam?
What are you looking
your
forward
favorite
to?
times,
Yes.
which we kind of already answered. I mean, like for me, I think we've been friends. We've known each other for like 7-8 years now.
Yeah.
But in the last
Jesus
like
Christ,
I
really?
know.
That's great. Yeah, it's
I
been a
know.
long time.
In the last two, I think ever since we came to Hyper, because when we were doing stuff before at my place, it was a very stressful environment because we were all sort of like trying to make the whole thing work together. So it was mostly just like work. And now because we came to Hyper, we had a lot of time to just like, hey, let's just sit and like hang out, chat, talk. Going to Europe, I think, was probably like my favorite thing because it was no work for the most part. It was just like, hey, let's just go on this fun trip together and just hang out for 2 weeks.
That was definitely a highlight for me as well.
I got to see how much Hector loves fucking bread. Holy shit.
Dude.
I'm surprised you haven't raided my pantry.
Bread is my jam.
And jam is your bread.
You love jam too.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, no worries, Augustine. We're still best friends. I reverse engineered it.
Okay,
by
cool.
looking at this one, figured it out, my
I
friend.
just put it in upside down, I think.
I think so.
You have a favorite one? Favorite memory?
Yeah, it's definitely Prague is up there.
Yeah.
And what else did I have fun? What else did I have a lot of fun with?
We still haven't gone karaoke with Lucas.
That's true. No, we
Really?
did in Prague.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, in
Remember?
Berlin.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah, in
true.
Berlin.
That was
yeah,
fun.
that was fun. But I think
I'm so drunk I don't remember it.
probably.
What?
I'll show you the videos.
Oh, boy.
I have more.
Oh, God.
Probably just because I like seeing Hector's enthusiasm doing that last Avengers before Infinity War came out. Doing that magnet thing was a lot of fun as well. But honestly, just hanging out is just fun anyways, like just coming and hanging out. It's not like all the fun times they're on camera, but the more fun times are off camera. Which, that's what happens.
That speaks volumes because I feel like we're a shit show every week, and I love it. Do you have any favorite moments other than bread and jam in Europe? No.
No, just the week to week. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of any that big ridiculous Avengers trailer reaction with everybody.
That was
I know. That was
good.
insane.
Yeah.
That was insane and fun, but it was like still stressful and chaotic, but still fun.
Well, it's funny too
messed up.
because when we talk about those things and like for Avengers Endgame, it was like, I think we need to bring it down to less. I think it was fun in the moment. But, from a technical perspective,
logistically,
watching Lucas trying to figure out how to get 10 people to be microphoned at the same time. My God.
Yeah.
I've never seen such a technical feat trying to be accomplished. Like, it was insane.
From a mom and pop operation. Getting 10 people mic'd up.
Exactly.
And also proper camera angles and then giving close-ups on people as well.
And I think we did it live, didn't we? So it's like the added stress
I don't
of a
even
live
remember,
stream
honestly.
And having to rely on your internet to not shit out on you while you're trying to do a trailer reaction. All sorts of great stuff. But it's been super fun. We're excited to continue more stuff. I put out a poll on Patreon and on Instagram and on Twitter asking you guys. So one thing that we're looking at right now is we're thinking about possibly enabling channel memberships on YouTube. Now that's a $4.99 tier where you can get custom emotes for a lot of like if we ever do live streams and stuff like that. And there are additional perks that you can add to it. The problem is from our end, we can't really see like exactly what we can or can't give you guys.
Or what you want and what you don't want.
Yeah.
Really.
So, we've had a Patreon for a while and like we're in the process of revamping it. So my big question, I guess, to you guys would be if you wanted to support a creator or support us, would you want it to be on YouTube or on Patreon? I'm really curious.
Yeah.
Because Patreon gives us a lot more flexibility where we can do tiers that are at lower prices, at higher prices, offer more things. So I would really like to know that, because I think that's really the last thing that we're sort of waiting on before we kind of push the new revamp of Patreon out, because I don't really want to split people to have a $5 tier on YouTube and a $5 tier on Patreon.
Yeah, it makes
I'd
no
prefer
sense.
to just have everything in one place.
Yeah, that makes
so
sense.
we can just push you guys over and say like, hey, if you guys want to see movie commentaries and Invincible podcasts, us doing more like special events and stuff like that, we would love to, just go over to the Patreon. That's how you can support and make that happen. I got into a very fun conversation with the people at Alamo Draft House last night.
Ooh.
And I asked them about the potential opportunity of hosting some screenings. I know we've entertained this idea for a while of doing 3D movies.
Yes.
So we should look into that.
What'd they say? What Alamo say?
They would like to go meet with us after South by Southwest and maybe talk about it.
Do we need to fly to
So-
Austin? I don't know if I can afford that.
No. We'll do it here in LA.
Because they have an Alamo.
No,
It's
they're
coming
opening
soon.
a brand new
That's
Alamo.
why they followed me on Twitter.
Yes.
You motherfucker. This guy gets
He's
stuff
wheeling
done.
and dealing, homie.
That's how. Oh man.
This is something that we've also been talking about. We want to do more meetups, but we don't want to just do a meetup where you just come meet us at a bar. As fun as
We
that
want to
can
force
be,
you to watch 3D movies.
Exactly.
Yes.
As fun as that
If
can
anything.
be, not everyone can
Thank
go
you.
to a bar. But so we talked about months ago, we talked about the idea of like, what if we got together with like a theater or some organization who'd be down to like let us host 3D movie screenings, and we would obviously do a lot of the stuff would be superhero stuff,
Right.
but not limited to. We'd pick some of our favorites and we would try to host something and maybe try to get people from the movie or from the company who like worked on the 3D to come in and talk about it.
I'm going to tell you right now, if this was I'll just say it, because if it was like a dream scenario and we were already doing this, I would have wanted us to host a screening like 2-3 weeks ago, double feature, How to Train Your Dragon 1 and 2 in
I know.
3D, and I'm sure that
And
we could have
Lego
asked
Movie.
somebody, bro. Lego Movie and Lego Batman, we could have left Lego Ninjago, but that
Sure.
double feature, but then like ask somebody from that studio, either DreamWorks or Warner Brothers Animation,
Right.
to be like, hey, can we talk to your stereographer? Would they like to come and talk about the 3D and the use of 3D in these films? And maybe talk a little bit about the upcoming one. Like, that's
We
the dream.
know a lot of people who are
I
doing
know,
that stuff
dude.
too, so
So obviously a lot of stuff that we want to do, this year, we want to really work on. And I think having 100,000 subscribers is going to be the thing that sort of like, I hate to say it, it maybe
Solidifies
maybe
it?
like legitimizes us a little bit more.
Yeah,
Because I feel like a lot of brands, they look at us and they would see our sub 100,000 or like less than 100,000 subs.
We're
and
still
they're
small.
Like, they're still small. But now that we have 100,000, we'll get a play button and maybe we'll get invited to something.
That's wheeling and dealing money right there.
That's right. So we'll see. But please let us know about the Patreon. We really want to know. It's really important for us.
Yeah.
It's the only way that we're going to continue growing because YouTube revenue, I know a lot of people think like, oh, y'all make a bunch of money on YouTube revenue. Y'all, that shit don't make nothing. It sucks.
It really,
I'm
really
being
makes-
real with you.
Wait, I'm going to be selfish and build this whole thing. Hector, do you want a piece?
Do it.
You know how many Build-A-Figures I built?
I
That's
have
for
no
you,
idea.
dude. So many, all of them. Come over to my place.
Okay, the first topic of the night. Did y'all watch the Oscars by any chance?
No.
I just watched the live tweets going out.
Okay.
I wasn't up to date. I was just playing Overwatch.
I watched Thor and the Incredible Hulk.
That's
instead.
right, you did.
All right.
For the third time?
I don't know for how many times.
I don't know. I watched it. I actually really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was probably one of their strongest shows in a while. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that they actually didn't have a host. I think it just sort of moved. We didn't have to sit and wait for a host to finish
A joke
a bit
or
a joke or something. It just moved. And I think the nice thing was they let sort of presenters have that.
I did see the Aubrey Plaza thing. That was pretty funny. Did you guys hear
No, I
about that?
didn't.
So
What happened?
she did this skit where she like communed with the devil or something like that. It was
Cool.
really funny. It was really funny, and she takes some hard digs at like the Academy.
Yeah.
So I think you guys would really enjoy it.
That's
great.
Yeah, I
but
saw.
you
I
should
saw.
watch
Yeah,
that.
I saw that, and I saw Amy Poehler and Tina Fey and Maya Rudolph. They had like a great opening.
I love
So I
those
think
ladies.
overall, I think it was a much more watchable experience. Obviously, they put back all the categories that they said that they were not going to show during the regular televised version. Thank God. But the thing that I want to touch on is how incredibly well the superhero movies were
dude.
represented at the Oscars. So we had Black Panther, which was nominated for multiple categories, ended up winning for Best Costume Design, Ruth
Thank
Carter,
you.
Best Production Design, Hannah Beachler,
Awesome.
Best Original Score, Ludwig Goransson.
It really was.
It really was.
That score is
it's
the best MCU score.
Phenomenal.
It's gorgeous.
Phenomenal.
It is
so
phenomenal.
Good. It's so good. I also the biggest takeaway too, and Kevin Feige talked about it, he said, if the movie were to win Best Picture, I don't want to be the one on stage making any sort of speeches.
He said Coogler.
Ryan Coogler needs to be up there. And the thing that I loved about all three of these individuals who went up there, the first person that they highlighted and they talked about was Ryan Coogler. And how he brought so much creativity, but he also was very inspirational, and he very much encouraged all of these people to be creative and to push their own boundaries. And if they didn't feel comfortable with something because creatively they felt like it challenged them too much, he wanted to collaborate and work with them on that to help get them through it. And I think the work speaks for itself. I mean, Black Panther, I think we've always talked about it ever since the movie came out. The costume design is incredible. The production design is beautiful. The music, everything about that movie, there are so many things that work really well. And it sucks when you're online and people say like, oh, Black Panther won Oscars over The Dark Knight. You always have to remember that movies like The Dark Knight were the thing that really helped push the opportunity for movies like Black Panther to then take the W.
We wouldn't be where we are without those types of movies. I mean, everything was a stepping stone.
Exactly. If it wasn't for The Dark Knight, we probably wouldn't have gotten 10 Best Picture noms.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
And now to have a movie like Black Panther come out and to now open up the playing field and to inform audiences like these movies can be very fucking good, and we're going to reward them for that is awesome.
I don't think I guess people have been doubting that the movies are good or whatever.
Especially people in the Academy.
I feel like people just look down on them because of the subject matter. Like they won't even give them a shot just because it's superhero movies. It's people in tights. Okay, cool. It sucks that people have that mentality, like the fact that they had to go and create that special blockbuster category, and then change their mind and just throw Black Panther in there. It's just it's that's part of the reason that turned me off to the Oscars is that mentality was not there yet. And I feel like, cool, it's kind of changing, but I feel like it's like those people who only apologize after they get caught. They're only sorry they got caught. They're not sorry that, if they wouldn't have got caught, they never would have changed anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's something that I feel like they're not proactively trying to change things. They're only reacting to things that are being brought up.
My favorite thing about the Oscars that night was God, now I'm forgetting the person I follow on Twitter who was posting it, but I agree 100%. I think it was, let me try to, whatever. It's not that important, but she was saying that the Academy Awards had Green Book, Bohemian Rhapsody, Black Panther, and Roma. And like each of those 4 movies won 3 Oscars apiece or something, like in different categories, right? Each of those 3 movies. And this person said, if that's not an indication that the Academy is changing currently, there is no better one.
Right.
And I agree wholeheartedly. I think that
was
even
it
though, no, I don't think it was. Okay. I'll find it right now. But even though the movie that I wasn't necessarily rooting for, ended up winning the Best Picture.
Sure.
It still showed just look at the nominees kind of overall.
Right.
And again, I just like that optimistic takeaway of there's still like an old guard there at the Academy Awards, but their efforts to try to diversify and get different types of voices and different types of people that are just as important in film as the old guard in there and in the mix means to me, they did get caught, like you said, Augustine, like they got caught and they felt bad, but at least they did make some efforts, and you can see some of that happening, and it's just kind of keep getting better and better, ideally. So
well, Hannah Beachler and Ruthie Carter, I don't quote me on this. I think I saw a tweet that said it's been, I think, 50 or 60 years since a woman of color has won an Oscar for something that's not related to acting. In 5 minutes, they gave it to 2.
Right.
So, I do think that they are actively trying to diversify, and represent sort of the industry as a whole, and not just, like you're saying, a section of it.
Right. And also, and also recognize, because we have had people of color behind the scenes, not very many, but we've had them, and they've done great things. And I feel like those people, I don't feel like people should go out of their way to recognize somebody like that. But when somebody shows greatness, you need to highlight it.
Totally.
It needs to be highlighted. And I should probably be more invested, since we've had Mexicans sweep Best Director for the past 3 years.
That's
what
my
which
dad
is
texted me.
Amazing. Like it's absolutely amazing. Like if this was the World Cup and Mexico had won four World Cups in a row, I'd be losing my mind. You know? But I feel like there's so much like, I don't even know how to say it. There's so many things that go into that decision that I feel like I can't celebrate as much. But at the same time, I also don't want to diminish the fact that, yes, they have recognized people of color all the time.
Well, and I think Alfonso Cuaron said something very powerful when he's talking about how he was inspired by international movies like Jaws. And you don't think about that.
Yeah, exactly.
To us, it's like
that's a domestic movie.
What? Yeah. Oh, right. He's from Mexico.
Yeah.
That's an international movie to him.
That's a foreign film.
Yeah, that's a foreign film. So and I think like that speaks volumes as to how we can sort of look at things like the Oscars and just think that it's this.
Right. Exactly.
But really, it should be about a celebration of film worldwide.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of times we tend to forget that, and it's like we just focus on the one thing about the Oscars. But like every year, Iñárritu, Del Toro, Cuarón, they've all been like nominated or won. They've been crushing it at the Oscars. So I think people should spend more time not just looking at the bad, but also highlighting the
celebrating
good that comes out of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with that, which makes me want to move on to the next Oscars topic, which is
a little movie called Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Best animated feature film. We watched it again on, I think it was like a Wednesday night we watched it.
Nice.
I started playing it, and Zach was coming from the studio upstairs, and he goes, "What? That movie's out. What?" I've never seen Zach run upstairs before in my life. Like
that's the thing. Zach's not physically able to
he's
run.
He's like a broken human being.
He
ran and he like jumped onto the couch and was like, "Malika, shut it down."
That's awesome.
I was like, Hyper RPG shut down for the day, and they watched Spider-Man.
I mean, man, I love Incredibles 2. I love that movie so much.
Right.
And it was just as worthy of a win as Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
I think the thing that put Spider-Verse over the edge was the incredible styles that it also brought.
Oh, yeah.
You know, aside from just being an incredible story and telling a story that's very diverse and introducing all these different versions of Spider-Man and what it means to be Spider-Man, what it means to like carry on that responsibility of being a hero. The look of it is just incredible.
I think that this is the type of movie that drives people to become filmmakers, at least for me. And this is very personal for me, just because you guys know me. You guys know me, and especially hip hop and animation being blended into this. But at the same time, animation provides us with such a beautiful outlet where you're only limited by exactly what you want to do. Like your brain is literally the limit. You can do whatever you want. I follow so many talented animators on Instagram that are doing beautiful animation. They're doing beautiful things, and it sucks that they're not getting the recognition they deserve, because everybody on Spider-Verse is amazingly talented, and the style and the feeling that they gave is so beautiful. And I feel like all that is out there, and it's always been there, but it took a Spider-Verse to get people to realize that animation is such an underutilized platform to tell stories. You know, like we've had some amazing, I mean, like everything from Studio Ghibli has been amazing, you know, and that's all animated. And
I just rewatched Kiki's Delivery Service the other night.
Fantastic.
And it's so fucking good.
So good. Like
the animation of her like falling and then the flying.
Like the
I'm
bouncing
like, that's
and
real
the
flight.
Floating.
It's
but also
mind-blowing.
there was a video that I watched about the food that he created.
Dude.
Like Studio Ghibli creates mouth-watering scenes where like when they're eating food, you want to eat that food. Like it's just everything they do is amazing. And I feel like animation, and this is why I chose Spider-Verse over The Incredibles, is because The Incredibles, we've seen the animation style and it was great, and I'm a huge fan of mid-century modern stuff, which is the entire look of the movie, right?
Gorgeous
movie, but at the same time, my animator brain is just like, Spider-Verse was animator brain overload.
Yeah,
there
like,
was so many. I can't wait to buy.
Mixed with hip hop brain.
Yes, exactly.
So that was like,
but I can't
whammy.
wait to
Genetically
buy the
engineered for
Blu-ray
Augie.
and frame by frame. I'm literally going to frame by frame that entire movie over and over and over again because there's so much to dissect in this movie. And it sucks that I have to pick between these two movies because if Spider-Verse would have come out before we even saw Incredibles 1, like if Incredibles 1 came out with Spider-Verse, I would have been torn right down the middle because I had never seen anything like the Incredibles 1 before the Incredibles. But at the same time, it's just it sucks that there's this tribalism out there that that caused this kind of rift. But at the same time, again, I feel like this movie came in as an underdog and then just fucking knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I mean, I think not a lot of people had a lot of faith in Sony doing a movie like this.
I didn't.
I think for me, the only saving grace that I saw was Lord and Miller. Honestly,
yeah.
What they did with Lego, what they've done with some of the other movies, 21 Jump Street, all that sort of stuff. I thought, okay, cool. If these guys are going to tackle Spider-Man, interesting that they're going to hop over and go from like Star Wars to Spider-Man, do all this other stuff.
Right.
But I don't trust Sony, and I'm hoping that they'll let Lord and Miller just make the thing that they want to make.
And they did.
And then they brought on 3 directors to really like help complete that. And I mean, so many years later, like I think it took 3 years to make that movie from start to finish. Yeah. And all the different iterations and bringing on these directors at different times. Really fascinating way of creating the movie. I'm really looking forward to just sitting down and listening to the audio commentary.
Yes. Audio commentary.
That's going to be so insightful.
You know they're going to have all this bonus footage of how they created all this stuff.
They've been releasing stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been pouring over as much as I can anytime they put anything on social media.
Yeah.
I've been following the animators. Yeah, the animators who post like, oh, I worked on the animators. Scene. Yeah.
It has been a plethora of such cool stuff.
So good.
The only thing I'm bummed about is it because I'm a stupid asshole, I have to wait until the 3D Blu-ray comes out.
Bro,
you don't have to. You can own both.
I do. I know, but I'm so behind it. Like everybody's talking about Incredibles versus Spider-Verse, and I only barely, just a few weeks ago, like a month or two ago, got Incredibles 2 and powered through all the special features on that, and it was like gorgeous and it was great. So for a while, I was really on this Incredibles 2 kick. But I know that as soon as Spider-Verse comes out, 3D, Blu-ray, in like a month or two or whatever, like I'm going to be...
Comes out in April, doesn't it?
Yeah, but then we have to wait for Prague. We have to wait for we have to wait for like
no,
Czech
that comes out in April too. But then you have to wait for it to be delivered
to ship, and I kind of have to wait for somebody to go on some message board somewhere and be like, yeah, this will work. This will work on our.
I solved your problem, Hector.
Do it. What is it?
I remember getting that region-free DVD player.
I'm not trying to do that. I just have a PS4 right now. And if as much as I can get that'll work for that, I'll do it as much as I can get.
That version of Spider-Verse, which a lot of people, here's the thing that's cool, is because people know that you and I love 3D. They're ask all the time. They're like, where do I get the 3D? Where do I get it? Where do I get it?
Y'all tell me, dude, because it's a different homework assignment for each one.
Yeah,
Aquaman's different than Spider-Verse. Is different than you know.
So I'm hoping that all I'm really waiting to find out. I know that this one will be region free. I'm just waiting to find out on the price of it. Yeah. But that one that's selling from Prague will have 3D. Well, the one that I'm specifically getting has 4K and 3D, but they will have a 3D version of the movie. I am getting Terminator 2 in a few weeks.
Oh, you're going to get that.
Where you want to come over and watch it?
Yeah, I do.
Because you have a 3D monitor?
I have a 3D TV and 3D monitors.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I'm down to bring it over.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I solved your problem, though, Hector. You just need to pull the trigger on that thing.
And just get like 8 different Blu-ray players. Like, okay, this is my Australian Blu-ray player.
It's one. It's one that plays everything.
It's region-free for everything.
That's pretty great. That's pretty
great.
Hector and I need that sort of shit. Because,
also, I just need movie studios to just stop being jerks and just put out your awesome movies on 3D. Like,
if Alita Battle Angel does not come out in 3D here, I will be so pissed.
At least do this thing, this made-to-order thing. Aren't we at that kind of a point in technology now?
I feel like we kind of are.
Should it be easy for me to send an email to Warner Brothers like, may I request a 3D disc?
Please, and if they tell me, okay, it'll be $40 because that's how much it'll cost to take money from you for us to print it and mail it to you. You know, or send it to our whatever factory that does it or whatever, because like they'll have the material to do that and then ship it to you. I'll be like, sure.
That's worth it.
Like, do y'all not want $40 from me direct? Like, what, like it's worth it.
Nah,
exactly.
Homie.
Nah, exactly. I want Disney to go back and do it for movies that they put out live action and animated. That they put out
those are in
3D.
the Disney vault, Hector.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't
but
think
it's
you
like,
understand. That's kind of like putting it in the quantum zone.
I'm currently going through eBay, and that's how I'm finding a lot of my 3D movies.
That's how I do.
And I've lucked out. Like I got some movies that I got for like $5 of the 3D that nobody wants, and I'm like, Give it.
That's fine.
I'll take it.
That's
Thank
fine.
you.
You might be able to find Spider-Verse on there.
What was that like building that Build-A-Figure?
It's, you know what? It was satisfying clicking everything together.
Yep.
And this thing's hefty.
Yeah, dude.
It's got some good weight to it.
It's
which is cool.
It's a dumb, cool tactic to be like, oh man, I shelled out money on 7 toys, but I got an 8th one for free.
It's like, is it for free? It's like
No.
chunky and it's hefty.
chunky.
It's good.
Buy 7, get 1 free.
Yeah. It's a cool design too. It almost reminds me of the Sentinels from Earth.
X-Men.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that was drawn by. Might have been Jack Kirby.
It looks
Who
very
did the
mouth.
original-
Look at the mouth. It looks very Jack Kirby.
Well, here, let's go through them action figures.
Oh
There's not
my
a thing for.
God.
Wait,
Lucas is gonna be here forever.
No.
Hector, what are you doing?
Real quick, I just want because
I'm
it's
sorry,
like
Lucas.
this is what the fans at home want. Jennis Vell, the guy in the far left over there.
this guy's
on
cool.
The far right.
He's the shittiest build though. He's all flimsy. He doesn't want to stand up.
Oh really?
He's super duper flimsy.
You just gotta,
my God.
You just gotta work
Look.
it, baby.
No,
He's
look,
limp.
look.
You gotta
He's
work
super
it.
limp.
Born of a Titanian Eternal, Jennis Vell possesses indomitable strength and uses powerful negabands to channel incredible energy blasts.
Oh, he's see-through.
That's pretty dope.
What?
And he's got glitter on him.
Next up, Grey Gargoyle. Dr. Paul Duval discovers his ability to turn his body to stone and becomes the transmuting mercenary Grey Gargoyle.
This guy's terrible.
Those characters are from the comics, and then everybody else is from the movie. And then next up we got our dude Jan Rog over
Jan
here. Here's
Rog.
maybe a spoiler for the movie.
Got a blaster.
Leader of the Star Force team, Jan Rog is a hero among the Kree and a key asset to the Supreme Intelligence in the war against the Skrulls.
Oh, shit.
Okay. Next up, we have Captain Marvel, Cash Carroll.
Cash
Carroll. Accompanied by her furry sidekick, Goose, Captain Marvel suits up to defend the universe from galactic threats. Next up, we have Talos, this dude right here. Talos, perhaps the most cunning spy in all of the Skrull Empire, is a master of shapeshifting and intergalactic espionage, an integral leader in the bitter Kree-Skrull War. The fearsome Talos will do whatever it takes to protect his own. Then we've got Mr. Nick Fury, right over here. In the years following the Cold War, Nick Fury wrestles with his sense of purpose within S.H.I.E.L.D. When Nick crosses paths with Captain Marvel, they become Earth's only hope of stopping a Skrull invasion.
Oh,
and
shit.
then lastly, fully powered up Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers becomes one of the universe's most powerful heroes, Captain Marvel, when Earth is caught in the middle of a galactic war between 2 alien races.
Oh,
I feel like this unboxing should have been a special Patreon video.
Well,
know, right?
this is the
Lose you
type of
did.
stuff that we will never do again, but we can for special patrons. There you have it. You got to give
you
a
go.
little
My
tease.
tease here.
First one's free. First one's get a little
Second
tease.
one?
That's true.
Oh, hell no.
That's true.
There's a little tease. Yeah, I like how you had him go inside with the Glock.
Yeah, he's flexing.
this is-
He's flexing.
I'll do that with Nick Fury too. Everything will be break yourself. That's
Yeah.
what, break yourself. There we go.
He's flexing his
Oh my
bicep
God.
and he's sideways glocking
oh my
it.
God.
Is the sun coming up?
Then put it on the left.
That's the best. Fury is the best, dude. I love Nick Fury.
Okay. Next topic, not first. Next topic. Will Smith potentially exiting the Suicide Squad. Sources say that scheduling was the ultimate factor of the decision that was made. Apparently, the decision was made on amicable terms between both sides with no hard feelings. Though the studio has never confirmed who would be returning for the Suicide Squad, insiders say that the studio has always wanted Will Smith and Margot Robbie to come back. And James Gunn is apparently hoping to start production in the fall. This DC movies in general, I think, are sort of in this place. There was a picture that I forgot about that was taken at Comic-Con, I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago, that had the cast of Batman vs. Superman next to the cast of Suicide Squad with the directors. And I'm looking at that photo, I'm going, who's left?
Do you remember when Fox took that picture and Channing Tatum came out and he's
Yeah.
like, I'm Gambit, like out in the front?
Oh
Like,
God,
guys,
I forgot about that
Right?
movie.
so far
Right?
the only big photo like that has actually delivered was when they brought out the
MCU.
cast of the Avengers.
I know.
You know what I mean? Or whenever
One out of three.
Whenever the MCU brings
feel-
out one of those things,
I feel
like,
the heat from the comment section already.
I'm just saying it's tough to make movies,
Yeah.
I know,
especially with this level of planning.
I know.
And if this comes down to a scheduling conflict, and
Yeah.
they're still just gonna like go ahead without Deadshot, it's like, okay, well, was Deadshot part of the script? Is he like the main character? Do you have to rewrite the script? What's going on?
Yeah.
What's
Dude,
happening?
You know you can't believe these things. It's always we left on amicable terms. It was
Sure.
a
A
difference
a lot of times it is. It's such a bummer.
artistic differences.
Bro, listen,
blah, blah, blah.
I was just rewatching Incredible Hulk, and the whole time I'm thinking about Edward Norton and how
Being
that
an
all,
asshole.
and how that happened. And
Yeah.
I'm watching the behind the scenes, and I'm like, everybody says he's awesome and he's
Yeah.
contributing a bunch, and everybody loved the director Louis Leterrier.
Yeah.
And where and Tim Roth and him did the commentary, and Tim Roth, who played Abomination, is like, oh, I'd love to come back. I'd love to do another one. My boys love this movie. I'd love to do another one. And you're like, fuck.
Bring him
What
back.
happened?
I know.
What happened? It's a bummer.
Yeah,
dude.
and to be completely honest, I mean, they did say when they officially announced the Suicide Squad, they did say that the idea
New
is that
characters.
it's sort of a soft reboot of
Right.
that franchise, and they're going to bring new characters. So if that means that we're not going to get Will Smith in this movie, I'm okay with it. I don't necessarily need to see the same squad members every single movie. I like the idea of exploring new characters. Now, if you want to bring them back in a cameo capacity, that's fine too. But I kind of just want to let James Gunn make the movie, and I will just wait until trailers and it finally drops before I'm like, whether or not, I care or don't care. I'm going to be excited about it.
Do you think that? Well, here's kind of a weird question because I feel like the answer is it's not important. The continuity between films in a series is not important. Look at Thor 3 versus Thor 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The characters and actors are the same, but the tone and the continuity is not a huge concern. So, do you think that Suicide Squad has a responsibility to say this is part 2 of existing in this world established by this first film with the characters, with the tone, with the vibe, with the actors, with the that whole thing, or is Suicide Squad a franchise? Is it a franchise where you're like, no, all bets are off? Like, it's not something to be as beholden to like the Justice League or the Avengers or whatever.
Well, I feel like it doesn't because it's not an Avengers Justice League level team, which and the Suicide Squad from its inception was meant, like, even the name of the squad, it's meant for people to be expendable. It's called the Suicide Squad. If you're not expecting to swap out some people, don't call it the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Those people are sent and expected to never come back. So if there's any team that is good for creating something like this, it is the Suicide Squad. So no, I don't think a character like Will Smith, who gave a decent performance in the movie, is a reason that people are going to clamor back to this movie. If anything, it's Margot Robbie.
Yeah, I don't think the continuity is that important. I think what Suicide Squad can do is you can kind of treat it like an anthology series where Amanda Waller is the one character that is like the connecting bridge to the rest of the DC
murdering
movies.
criminals.
Seriously.
Yeah, and then all the other characters, the ones that live, they could go off and be in their respective heroes' films as villains.
That is how the
or they
comic
can
books
die.
it worked, and that is how that idea, that concept is supposed to work. The only sort of little bummer is that most of the time, there are a few mainstays, at least for a while.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Captain Boomerang's
Rick
always
Flag.
a mainstay.
Yeah.
Rick Flag is kind of a mainstay, but he's not like a super-powered popular mainstay.
No, he's not, but he
He's
was
like the
there.
dude.
He was there for the majority of it.
Now Harley Quinn has become a mainstay,
Yeah.
and I feel like Deadshot has always, from the inception of the team, kind of been a mainstay.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
if we're losing Deadshot, it is a bummer. I thought Will Smith was great in the role.
Oh, yeah.
And I would have loved to have seen
Same.
a new team and a new script, like okay, what can we do to kind of add on to this character? But
yeah, and I also wouldn't mind if, like, let's say this doesn't work out for this second movie in the anthology. Maybe the third one, maybe you take whoever survives in this second film. Then, and for the third one, it's like you maybe can tease Deadshot at the end of like now he's coming back and he's going to be leading you, the survivors, on a new mission.
Right. Or maybe you're trying to take out Deadshot.
Yeah, exactly.
Something.
So I think the plus with a franchise like Suicide Squad is there's a lot of flexibility.
Yeah.
You don't have to feel pressure to constantly bring back people who survived from the last movie.
Right.
They can take a back seat. You can bring in new characters, new leadership. Just let Amanda Waller and maybe Rick Flag be the two characters that sort of continue onward, and everything else can sort of be really
a very
flexed.
Mad Max kind of situation.
Yeah, and I think they have other plans. It seems like they have other bigger plans for Harley Quinn with things like Birds of Prey and maybe some of the other Harley movies that are going to get made. So
that's fine.
I'm fine with her kind of like going off and doing her own thing, and then Suicide Squad being also its own thing. And I think James Gunn will do great work with it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I am very interested in your guys' opinion on this. Kevin Feige was interviewed about the continuity of the Disney Plus shows.
Yeah.
He was asked about a few things, but primarily understanding sort of how these shows are going to work, because these shows are not under Marvel Television. They're not under Jeff Loeb. These are Marvel Studios TV shows.
Yeah.
These are projects that Kevin Feige is going to be overseeing.
Basically, like they feel like extended one-shots.
Exactly.
That's what the one-shots were. They were under Marvel Studios.
Exactly. So some of the things that he was saying, he's saying that it's been extremely, in terms of the shows and sort of the idea of what the shows can be, he says it's been extremely additive to the entire creative arc, not just of the Disney Plus programs we're working on, but on the entire post-Endgame MCU. Because we've been able to weave them all together, we've been able to, for the first time, conceive them together, and they will be intertwined with each other. So I think that speaks a lot as to what these shows can be, and the fact, like, you know, we've always asked the question of, like, how intertwined will this stuff be?
Yeah.
How much will it? Because, you know, from the beginning, Marvel Television always told us the Netflix characters are connected to the MCU, and then you just really had like one-line references.
Yeah.
Whereas this could be directly affected by the events of some of the movies, whether it's Endgame or in the future it could be Far From Home. Well, maybe not Far From Home because Spider-Man is more of a Sony property, but, you know, Eternals or Guardians 3 eventually, or whatever else they have sort of like going for them.
Oh, I feel like this is going to be a setup for Thor 4. Mm-hmm. If you have a Loki show, that sets up Thor 4, I think. So, yeah, and stuff that they could be planning for that. They might be going, oh, we would really like to do this idea for Thor 4, but it'd be really cool if we had more time to, wait a minute, we do. Here's the Loki show. We can sprinkle some of that shit in there.
Yeah.
And then,
well, I mean, think about the overall plan of Disney's streaming service, like
to take over the world.
To take over the world, which they are, you know, little by little doing.
Yeah.
But think about a streaming service that has to have enough content to make people not want to switch away because you're competing with Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime. Yeah. So in order to do that kind of thing, you're going to need to kind of create this hype that like, well, we're bringing our superheroes over for miniseries on the Disney streaming service. That's going to get people buying it up so fast because people are clamoring for it. Yeah. But at the same time, what's going to be too much work for Kevin Feige? Like, does that man have more hours in the day than we do?
Delegate.
Yeah, man.
But I'm saying though, like, unless that man has an unlimited brain capacity, I don't understand where the limit is for this guy.
Well, I think the thing that Kevin Feige has done extremely well is he has surrounded himself with extremely talented people.
Agreed.
Louis D'Esposito, Victoria Alonso, like a lot of the like Nate Moore, a lot of the executive producers who've come in. Like, because of Nate Moore, we have a character like Black Panther in Civil War, and then he has his own movie. And I think that's the key. The key is, if you're going to be Kevin Feige and you're sort of going to grandfather an entire cinematic universe that potentially will go from theatrical to TV shows to like one shots that we've seen, you need to have an idea, you need to have a vision. Right. You need to be able to paint a very loose idea of what that vision is, and then let these other people that work with you to help you fill in and execute. And I think that is, I think, why Marvel has always, and not that all of their movies have been good, but they've always stuck to their plan. Yeah. And when they've needed to evolve it and change it, they've done it and not been afraid to do it.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, and I agree with that. It's just,
it's crazy to think about.
It's crazy to think. It's such a huge idea to me that it's hard for me to wrap my brain around that this person is not only in charge of this gigantic movie universe that we've made, but also the Disney streaming service stuff now. So what kind of concerns me is quality control. Like, is there going to be a point where it kind of falls apart a little bit? And like you said, not every movie has been on point. You know, not every movie has been fantastic, but is there going to be a point where it's just too big? Like, we've
been having this conversation for 10 years.
I know.
Exactly. Conversation for a decade of like, will this thing implode? Will it be too much? Will it be oversaturation? Will it be...
Well, not even just oversaturation. It's just like, where's the point where it's just like InNOut. Okay, keep InNOut in mind. Okay. So InNOut is still a family-owned company, right? And I know this because I worked there for 6.5 years. Yep. I know everything about that company. Yep. So InNOut is still a privately owned company run by one family, and they kept it in the same family. So they only open franchises in a place that's that they can get the fresh products that they need, that they can get all the fresh meat that they need.
Basically West Coast and like a little bit into the country.
A little bit into the country, and they're expanding more into the country if they can supply things with local people that will give them what they need, basically. Yeah. So it's been a very slow expansion, but at the same time, they're very slow to grow. Yeah. And they've only been a West Coast company because of that thing. So what I'm trying to say is that, like, is this Netflix move too quick of a move, like too quick of a lateral of a move to keep the quality the same and keep
you mean
everything.
Disney Plus?
Yeah, sorry.
But I mean, it's their
Plus.
Netflix move.
Yes, it is their Netflix move, but I'm saying I just hope the resources aren't stretched too thin to where we get stuff where we're just like, well, I'm not interested in this at all.
I don't know. I mean, because you look at the way that they've made their movies and how many movies overlap in production, pre-production, post-production.
Yeah,
right.
You know, while a movie like Ant-Man and the Wasp is in production, Avengers: Infinity War is in post-production.
Right.
Spider-Man: Far From Home is in pre-production, and I feel like it just seems like, and look, I'm sure that they have days where things don't go perfectly because that's just how a film production works. Like not every day goes 100%. I'm sure they have plenty of hurdles that they have to deal with.
Absolutely.
But I do think that because they've done so many movies now, they've done 22 films.
Right.
They have a really good handle on how to delegate certain people to certain tasks. And I think Kevin Feige, for him, it probably is now easier because he has so many people working on all this stuff that he can kind of jump in. He shows up on set of Ant-Man and the Wasp. How are things going? How's this? What's not working? What's working?
Yep.
Cool. Great. Flies to London.
Yeah.
Hey, Spider-Man, John Watts, how's this doing? What's working? What's not working? How do we fix it? Cool. Great. Goes to the edit bay at Walt Disney Studios. Hey, Russo brothers, how's Endgame going? Is this not working? This is working. Do we need to do reshoots? How do we do it? Cool. And he then just like delegates all these things. So I think for him specifically, I don't think it's necessarily too challenging for his level. I think mostly it just comes down to really trusting the people,
the teams.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's really all you can do at that point.
Yeah.
Just surround yourself with a bunch of.
And Marvel, I think, has built such
people.
an incredible reputation in the last 10 years that people want to work with them. They're no longer seeking people. People are seeking them.
Yeah.
So I think that also is very helpful.
Like I said, I'm looking forward to it. I just hope it doesn't suffer from like too big of an expansion too quickly.
I mean, I guess the thing that I look at now, and it's different because it's not all interconnected, but things like Titans and Doom Patrol, you know, it's controlled by very different entities, and it's somewhat similar to like the Marvel Netflix thing. But I still feel like, even though it's not all interconnected, you know, you have people like Jeff Johns who sort of jumped around from the movies to the CW to the streaming service and has been able to really I think they've really figured it out. And I think I feel like because Marvel has just overall done such an excellent job with everything that they've worked on, Marvel Studios. I'm less doubtful that it will not be good.
Right.
The other thing that he does say that I really liked is the fact that he says when Collider asked him, you know, how many episodes are you hoping for every season of these shows? He's like, look, there is no limit, there is no minimum, there is no maximum. It's all going to be based on the story. If the story requires 8, we'll do 8. If it requires 6, they'll probably end up doing 6. So I like that. I don't like. I hated the thing about the Netflix stuff I did not like is it always felt like they had to do. They were contractually obligated to do 13.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like it was necessary for a lot of those shows.
I agree.
So, yeah. We'll see.
Let's move on because Hector's getting tired.
I got sleepy.
He's got to go. You got to go night.
No, I don't. I'm gonna stay up real late tonight, and I'm gonna read comics.
You're gonna go memes.
So the Eternals potentially could be a story that spans 10,000 years in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Kevin Feige was again asked about this. This is a movie that's going to be coming in Phase 4. We don't really have a date, but we have a writing team and we have a director.
And where's this story being pulled from?
This is from Collider, I think.
This is a really interesting detail that they picked up on.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's really nothing else in there, I think, to really grab onto about this movie.
No.
And I also feel
we really
like
don't know much.
No.
Yeah, and I also feel like to say that this movie could span 10,000 years.
It's a bit of a.
It also shouldn't be, to me, that big of a deal because it's like, well, technically Thor the Dark World spanned 10,000 years.
And
like it
more.
It had movies. It had a sequence that I know for a fact because I've been working on this timeline. It opened in or when the Valkyries were killed in Thor Ragnarok, the flashback with Tessa Thompson and everybody was killed. That happened in the first millennium AD.
Right.
Cut to now, and if the Eternal spans 10,000 years, there was something that was happening something million BC in one of the Marvel movies. Right. Also, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has done that. Has gone back and forth. So I feel like, that's not, it doesn't mean that the movie's going to be 10,000 hours long. It doesn't mean, it's just going to be a regular Marvel movie that'll have an opening like Odin in the first Thor movie, he's like, once mankind accepted a simple truth.
Right.
But they were not alone in this universe.
Yeah.
And the first giants are attacking Norway and blah, blah, blah. Like that. And it was 965 AD.
Right.
Yeah.
And when that first happened, that was the first movie we were like, oh, shit. It's not just Iron Man and Hulk. Like, where are we? We're 965 in the MCU.
Yeah.
Cut to 2011 when the Thor movie was released.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. It doesn't. It seems like It seems like it's not that big of a
right.
like a crazy
the thing that Kevin
like
Feige said that I thought was that, and they already kind of did it with Guardians as well. But it says we like the idea of introducing doing an ensemble movie from the start, as opposed to building up as we did with the first Avengers. In terms of the 10,000 year lifespan or 10,000 year span, I would be interested to see if they actually set the entire movie 10,000 years prior to the end.
I don't think so. I think that that formula will be just like the Eternals in Marvel Comics, and it's similar to the Inhumans. Is they had a big cosmic concept, right? Yes, Guardians were around 1,000 years ago, and now they're here again in modern day New York or whatever. And also again for Feige to go like, we're not going to do separate movies to build up the Eternals. It's like, nobody gives a shit about like Icarus and all the rest of these like very obscure small group of characters. They are like the Inhumans or the X-Men or the Fantastic Four or the Guardians of the Galaxy. They go together. So the thing that was most interesting was, I don't know if Collider, if this was in the same story or whatever, but like they said that this could be the first openly gay hero lead character in this movie.
Well, that was interesting because somebody had tweeted that at me also. So I started like doing some digging around, and it was from it wasn't a confirmed like list, like a character description sheet.
Right.
So I'm not 100% sure like if that really is.
Somebody
like
pulling
true?
it from a character sheet, and then they're like, pointing to one of those characters and go, "Well, that character's gay, so that must mean this would be like the first."
Basically, like from what I read, it sounded like that somebody had heard through the grapevine that Marvel is potentially going to make this leading character the first openly gay character in the MCU.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that was on a call sheet that says
right.
this is exactly what we're looking for.
It's just a rumor.
Yeah. So
but that's still cool.
If they do it, it's awesome. I was just hesitant to talk about it because I didn't want.
It's not confirmed anywhere.
Yeah, because I didn't want to put it out there and say like Marvel's doing this, and then it doesn't happen. And it's like, oh shit.
Well,
and then
to me, that rumor is still more interesting than like the factual things about this movie that Feige's telling us. Because again, 10,000 years, I'm like, we've seen that in other stuff before, and a full cast. I'm like, and I know a little bit about the Eternals, very little, and everything he says, I'm like, that's the Eternals. Yeah, cool. But give me a more juicy. Again, Captain Marvel, I knew Captain Marvel, but then when they were like, it's set in 1995, I'm like, oh, that's different.
That's good.
What's up with that? So
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, that's really all it is.
That's really all it is. But I think in terms of the casting, I think Marvel definitely has an opportunity. And I think Kevin Feige has addressed it before that he wants to continue sort of like expanding and bringing more people to the table, which I think like they're in a perfect position to do so.
To me, this is sounding a Lord of the Rings-ish. 10,000 years beforehand. Yeah. It's like in Lord of the Rings, we're in the third age of the world. Like we're in the year 3000 something, like of the third age of Middle Earth. There's hundreds, possibly even thousands of years beforehand in which so many things happen that are told in the Silmarillion and the Lost Tales that it all leads up to the Lord of the Rings and Frodo destroying the ring. So that I'm guessing that's what he's kind of hinting towards. It's like we are going to see glimpses of a bigger universe that is ancient and that we could possibly delve into. But right now we're going to focus on the story of the Eternals.
Which I think would be really cool. I would love to see more of the MCU. Like, a lot of the flashbacks that they show in Thor, I like that stuff. I think that's really cool. And to have a movie that explores that even further, and gives us more cosmic characters that we can.
It's kind of what we've been asking from the Star Wars universe. It's like we know this universe is huge. Let's focus on other dope stories. So that's what they're doing.
Exactly.
Smart.
Kevin Tsuijihara confirmed for sure 100% that DC movies will have less interconnectivity. I'm sorry, Hector.
That can't be 100% confirmation if it's just less connectivity.
It's less.
He didn't say none.
Specify.
He didn't say no connectivity.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like it doesn't feel like a hard commitment to either one.
Yeah,
exactly. That's why he chose his words very carefully.
He says the upcoming slate feels like we're on the right track. The universe isn't as connected as we thought it was going to be 5 years ago, which 5 years ago, that would be 2014, which was a year after Man of Steel, which makes sense because that's when they were like, Batman versus Superman, let's go. You're seeing much more focus on individual experiences around individual characters. That's not to say we won't at some point come back to the notion of a more connected universe, but it feels like that's the right strategy for us right now. What Patty Jenkins did on Wonder Woman illustrated to us what we could do with these characters who are not Batman and Superman. Obviously, we want to get those two in the right place. We want strong movies around Batman and Superman, but Aquaman is a perfect example of what we can do. They're each unique, and the tone's different in each movie. I like these comments.
Yes.
I guess I
like the respect for Wonder Woman.
Exactly.
I do.
I'm sort of in two places on this. I like this. I'm glad that they are acknowledging that what they try to do was not necessarily too ambitious, but they just didn't have the right plan, and that they're just going to focus on these individual stories and individual characters. Make sure they get the foundations right, and then worry about the universe building. That's always kind of been my opinion about how DC should approach their movies. I guess the frustrating thing that continues for me is the fact that from the beginning they couldn't just approach it the right way, and they just felt like they had to rush. And they haven't established two of the three tertiary characters of DC, and that to me is very frustrating.
I agree. To echo your sentiments, you had some steam coming out.
I'm just frustrated.
To echo your sentiments, Adam, it's not that they didn't have a plan, but I think that it feels as though they now feel they didn't have the right plan.
Yeah.
When you look back at those early movies, it is not difficult to see how, whether or not you like them, the takeaway is like it had a very specific like tone and vision.
Yeah.
And
direction.
If you like that direction, that's awesome. Yeah. But I think it's fair to say that direction is not a very accessible, easy for every character to fit in direction.
And not widely popular
direction. The direction for Iron Man 1 is a widely popular direction because it is so singularly focused, but the tone and everything, it's very accessible, and the tone, even I think more accessible than even Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight.
Oh, yeah,
which is debatably, arguably, and kind of definitively like a better film. It's easy to say like The Dark Knight's better than Iron Man. They both came out in 2008. But even The Dark Knight is so specific that that's perfect for that because they're not trying to do what Iron Man was thinking about doing, which was leaving the door open for like everything else. Like that tone was so accessible that they could have put Thor in that tone, and they did, which is mind-blowing. Like directly characters from the Iron Man movie popped up in Thor, and it wasn't like stupid. Like it made sense. So I think that it feels good to feel like the people that are creating movies based on the DC universe, which is a universe that is very near and dear and close to my heart, that they're looking at that tone and going, that doesn't apply to everything. Look what we did with Wonder Woman. Oh, you know what? We should not have tried to make DC Universe Part 2 and DC Universe Part 3. We should have made Aquaman, Wonder Woman. Now let's make The Flash, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Plastic Man, Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, Doom Patrol, Boom Ba-Doo, Boom Ba-Doo, Boom, and keep going.
All of them.
But at the same time, I also am honestly heartbroken that there is not like a passion and a love for the DC universe. Because look, man, I'm going to be real with you guys. Just tonight, got my girlfriend Abby, just tonight, to start from the beginning, rewatch episodes 1 and 2 of Young Justice. And rewatching those shows, I was like, God damn it, they know exactly.
There it is.
I'm like, this is the DC universe, even better than Batman the Animated Series, because Batman was Batman, right? Batman the Animated Series was great, and that had an accessible enough tone that they could basically plant Superman over it and then transfer that to Batman Beyond, have some fun, and then go back to Justice League, and it was still basically the sort of storytelling approach from Batman the Animated Series. It worked. But with Young Justice, from the kickoff, it is the DC Universe, the show, episode 1. We're focusing on the younger generation of characters, but like they hit everything. And it all builds on itself in such a beautiful, organic way. It takes a lot of planning. Yeah. The storytellers on Young Justice are masterminds. It is like so... And again, once you finish that show or finish the first season, you go back and rewatch the first episode, it rewards you because they're like... Because you're watching the show and they're like this. Yeah. That's right.
Just wait.
We know what we were doing. You caught that line. That line means something different now, doesn't it? Boom. Like they're that good. It's that good. So it bums me out that there isn't that happening and that there isn't And that there isn't I mean, again, 10 years ago, I would be arguing the opposite, where I would be like, stop doing just Batman and Superman movies and do Wonder Woman and do The Flash and do everything. And now I'm like, do Batman and Superman. Like, they need to be a part of that world.
Absolutely.
In my brain, for that world to sort of build on itself, you know? And Young Justice knows that. Young Justice starts with Robin from Batman. Young Justice starts with, they find the Superboy clone of Superman, you know? And those concepts work because those things are sort of in place. Yeah. So I know you have a question in the little teleprompter in your notes where it's like, does connectivity matter? And that question makes me feel like an asshole, because if I don't say no, I'm an asshole. Because ultimately, no, it doesn't matter. What matters is story. Right. Yes, but at the same time,
it does.
If you have the rights to all the DC universe and you haven't like dived into that yet, like, what's kind of the point? You're not making movies set in the DC universe. You're making an Aquaman movie separate from a Shazam movie, separate from a Flash movie. You're just using certain characters to just like do kind of one-off movies and franchises, as opposed to like building that thing to get to a point where, you know, the DC universe is a living, breathing organism the way that it is in comics.
That's why I'm so frustrating, because I feel like that comment is sort of like a backhanded slap in the face to the greatest pantheon of superheroes that we have so far.
The best.
The MCU is great.
Yeah.
But the pantheon of heroes that we have coming out of DC deserves so much better. And right now I feel like, he's talking about Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. Fantastic. We need to lay the grounds for that. But at the same time, there's so many other great stories to tell, like you were pointing out earlier. And the other kind of thing that frustrates me is that you have people working for you who know these stories and love these stories and are animating these stories, dude. Like,
animation, man.
They are there. Yeah. The people who want to do... Sorry, I almost spit on you.
It's all passion, baby.
It's all passion. The people who want to do these movies are there. Hire these people. Like, he's clearly most likely not watching these animated shows. Like, he's not acknowledging the fact that, like, you have at your hands so many stories that people want to hear. Like, we want to hear all this stuff, and we see it coming out with Batman the Animated Series. You see that stuff coming out with Young Justice. You see it coming out with the Justice League and the Justice League Unlimited. So it's there. It's just... It's a
tricky thing,
such a huge disconnect.
That disconnect is tricky because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Exactly.
Right? Some animators have been able to go from animation to live action, and some haven't. A cool thing that, in case anybody forgot, in Iron Man 2, Jon Favreau went and got Genndy Tartakovsky, and he was like, just help me storyboard some action stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
And it's rad. And you can see a lot of that in the movie at the end when they're in like the Japanese garden. That's Genndy. Yep. And when War Machine's killing a drone and it's oil that hits him in the face, that's Samurai Genndy. Jack. That's Genndy.
Yep.
But other times you have situations like Andrew Stanton went and did John Carter, and it didn't hit. He went back to animation. And you're like, oh, it's a bummer. And he was making that live-action movie where he's like, well, I'm just doing this the way I would do an animated film. Like, we're going to go back and do reshoots. Like, this is what we do in animated movies. And the live-action world was like, you can't do that.
Right, exactly.
It's like, that's the disconnect. Brad Bird went and did Mission, and Mission Impossible was great. Then Tomorrowland, then it was like, okay, back to Incredibles 2.
Yeah. And I agree. It's not always successful, but what I'm saying, and I'm saying this because I like I said, I was just watching the bonus footage for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And Peter Jackson had never storyboarded before, but he was telling the process of the year and a half of storyboarding they did before they even put cameras to anything. You know, like they worked out everything that they needed to work out. Granted, they were still writing the script and stuff as they were going along, but having those techniques that directors could use but don't utilize when it comes to stuff like this. And it's not even just the directors. It's like the pressure from being in the Hollywood pipeline. Like you have deadlines and you have board people that need to be happy and all this stuff. It doesn't always lend itself to being able to do that. But at the same time, if you look at other people making films, which is why I love people outside of the Hollywood machine making films, they're doing things different ways, and you could tap into that talent and you could kind of break the mold a little bit and just talk to the people who did Spider-Verse, dude. They storyboarded everything before it came out. Like, take that and take some of those examples and then move that into your machine that you're doing, and you're going to come out with a way better product. And so that's what's just frustrating to me, that everything that they need to make this successful is there. It's just the fact that they need to tap into it. And I feel like maybe we're headed in the right direction to get into that.
I hope so.
Because he's talking about letting each character in each movie stand on its own. So maybe we will get that one person who comes in and revolutionizes, and they're finally like, this is the direction that we want everybody to kind of start following, which would be fantastic.
Yeah.
And it could be a direction that doesn't necessarily have to retcon everything that happened beforehand. And so
I think
maybe
Patty
they're just
Jenkins
trying
was that. I think Patty Jenkins and Wonder Woman, that's the tone.
Yes.
That is that accessible,
right,
like mainstream and optimistic and DC heroic tone that can work for a lot of superheroes. I would not be surprised if what a lot of James Wan did was looking at Patty Jenkins like directing and going, okay, what can we use that would work with Arthur Curry Aquaman, this version? In the same way, Patty Jenkins was looking at Dick Donner for Superman, right? It's that sort of template. So, like, I think it's there.
I agree.
I just hope that over this next year, we got Shazam, we got Wonder Woman 84 next year.
Yeah.
So those are the two in this franchise. And then we have the spin-off Joker thing coming out later this year.
Yeah.
And then what's after Wonder Woman? What has been officially announced?
Birds of Prey.
Greenlit. And it has a release date?
February 2020.
So next year, February 20. So then it's Wonder Woman 1984 and then Birds of Prey. Well, wait, when's Wonder Woman coming out?
June of 2020.
So Birds of Prey beforehand.
Yeah.
And then Wonder Woman 84. And then what after that?
I don't know if there's anything confirmed.
I know the things that have been talking about:
Flash,
Nightwing, Flash, New Gods,
Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah. So here's my hope: is that this next year to 2 years, while they're working,
and then
on
the Batman in 2021.
While they're working on these singular movies and Matt Reeves' Batman, that somebody, maybe like Matt Reeves with Patty Jenkins, with James Wan, with Sandberg, who's doing Shazam.
David Sandberg, yeah.
David Sandberg, can like almost have I'm hoping that this is
like
something
a writer's room or something.
Something where it's just like, hey, let's take some time and find the right person that can maybe bring together these characters in a Justice League sequel or in a something. Like maybe the New Gods movie can have some of those characters if we're going to go to Earth. Or, you know what, actually don't do that. It's a bad idea. Just keep it up on New Genesis and Apocalypse. Although if the leads are Big Barda and Mr. Miracle, you're coming to Earth, baby, and you can maybe.
I heard the new Mr. Miracle run is actually pretty good.
I heard it's
that
great,
miniseries, the Tom King one. Yeah, it's phenomenal. I've read like 3/4 of it. Anyway, it's incredible. But I don't know if you could do that in a movie. It's one of those like
I don't even know what it's about. I gotta pick it up.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
But do you know what I'm saying? Spend the next year or two as everybody's doing their solo movies to be like, okay, now we hired this person to like plan it. To Charlie
to paint
Day
a bigger picture.
To paint a bigger picture.
Charlie Day.
No, to Hector Navarro. Come on, let's be real.
Actually, let's be real. To Hector Navarro.
And I'm not saying that hasn't already been what they've been doing before.
Sure.
But again, they have. I just think that
with varying levels of success.
Yes. What has been a successful cross-mogenation between those films? Like, you know what was the Wayne element in Wonder Woman. Bruce Wayne element.
Okay.
Successful. Like didn't need an actor, didn't need Ben Affleck or anybody else, and we still felt like, okay, this is the same
presence.
World, the presence of it, the picture, the presence. The Batman cameo in Suicide Squad.
The one line of
Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
Right. Honestly, yes. Because I'll tell you what, even though we probably saw that as like, that's like that was like obligatory. That's all that they had. They were obliged to do it. They had to do it.
Yeah.
There are people that loved Justice League the movie and heard that and they were probably like, oh, cool. Okay, cool. Great.
He acknowledged it.
Yes, which is, I think, again, ultimately better than not, especially with the really strong choices that have been made in these movies up to this point. Like, there's no way you could do Batman versus Superman and not acknowledge Zod destroying Metropolis. You know what I mean? There's no way you could do Suicide Squad and not acknowledge Superman died. In the one before. So like, some of the, you know what, that actually worked for me was Amanda Waller being like, Superman's dead, but what if he was evil?
Yeah.
Here's the Suicide Squad. Like, okay, I'm like, that worked for me. It was a little early for me to see Supes die, but at least that's building on the thing. But other stuff didn't quite work for me. So I think that they have tried a lot of the connectivity and in Justice League and in Batman versus Superman, like certain dream sequences and flashbacks and that kind of like exposition doesn't quite work in the same way that some of the Marvel movies or other movies that are connected have had those kinds of references or connective threads, and it feels more organic and it works and stuff. But it's tough, dude. Sometimes Marvel movies.
It is tough.
Marvel movie comes out with something where people they see it and they go, "Oh, Ant-Man just goes and fights a Falcon. This is jarring and dumb. This is probably why Edgar Wright quit."
Right.
And it's like that feels forced to some people. For others, it works.
For others, and the thing that makes it so tough is that it's hard to pinpoint where they go right connecting the lines and where they don't work. Because I can't point to a specific instance and say this is better than that connecting line, because at the end of the day, it all just kind of goes together.
Yeah.
Like it all just moves in the same direction.
It's the movie. It's the movie.
It is. Yeah. It is what it is, and that's. I don't know if that has to do with expert writing, expert directing, like whether it's Kevin Feige who says these elements have to be in this because we have this bigger thing going. I don't know what it is, but it's a very difficult thing, and I mean, I guess you got to give it to DC. That they tried to do it. Like they gave it a shot.
It's better trying than failing than not doing it all.
Right? Because could you imagine if we were still clamoring for another movie?
It sucks that like for a lot of people, the choices they made have not worked. For the people that it has worked, like you're in a win-win situation.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
you know what I think it is. Here's what I think it is. I think you guys are right. I think that Man of Steel came out. I don't think it was ever planned for them to go there with that franchise, but everybody was letting them know, when are we going to meet so-and-so? When is he going to meet Batman? When's he going to join the Justice League? Blah, 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 blah.
Especially when you do like a Wayne cameo, satellite cameo in Man of Steel.
Here's the thing that bums me out as a fan, so much of a fan of these characters. It's what he's saying is absolutely right, and is the thing that people have been wanting him to say from the beginning, which is, focus on singular movies, dog. Do one at a time. Stop putting the cart before the horse, et cetera, et cetera. And I get that, and that's excellent, and I agree. The other thing that kind of bums me out is that there's also not a part 2 of that, of them going, we're excited to get back to the DC universe.
Right.
But instead, it's like, turns out not as connected as we thought, because in my brain I'm like, all it is connected. In my brain I'm
There's
like,
no way to disconnect it.
Like,
Metropolis and Gotham exist in the same universe no matter what you tell me.
Clark Kent and Lois Lane are best friends with Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle. Like in my brain, it's like that's how it works.
And the Green Lantern protects all of it, and the Speed Force encompasses everything. Yeah. Like it's there.
It is what it
is. It is.
Yeah.
Like
Barry Allen was inspired by reading comic books when he was a kid of Jay Garrick, and then Barry Allen inspired his nephew Wally West, and then Wally West had kids, and then they become the Flash, and then all these things of like legacy. And Kyle Rayner was after Hal Jordan, was after Alan Scott, and John Stewart was Green Lantern, and Guy Gardner, and there's so much of this that is like Blue Beetle gets shot in the head, and then Jaime Reyes shows up as the next Blue Beetle, and all these things that like I want them to be as excited to get to that as they are excited about saying, check it out, one at a time. That's it. Because they're so excited about that because that's because they should be excited because going off of going off of their feedback and going off of the response to their films and what's worked and what hasn't. Why wouldn't they be excited at being like, look at what Wonder Woman did?
Yeah,
we're going to try to do that for everything.
Exactly.
I totally get that. But again, my comic book brain is going,
Dog, you got a huge story to tell.
Like, it was clear that Marvel was excited to one day get to Thanos.
Yeah.
Like, clear.
I mean,
From the first Avengers movie.
He was there,
they were
right
like,
at the first Avengers
They couldn't wait. They're like, we got to put him in Guardians.
Yeah.
He'll have a dumb little post-credit scene in Age of Ultron.
He'll look terrible.
We can't wait to get to it.
Yeah.
And it feels like DC and it feels like Warner Brothers like doesn't have that same passion for the whole thing.
No.
But I want them to find the people that have it and hire those people so that those people can do these characters in a way that makes everybody fall in love with these characters.
Yeah.
In a way that they've never been, but even more than Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman. Like, I want to see a Wonder Woman movie, even if it's by Patty, even if it's 1984, that comes out and makes everybody go, I didn't think I could love Wonder Woman more. And then this movie came out. I didn't think I could love The Flash more, and I've been watching every season of the CW show. And then this Flash movie came out. It's like Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
I literally, you guys, this is almost going to make me cry. Literally did not think I could love Spider-Man more. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then that movie came out and just filled my heart and reminded me, like, this is why this is the best. Yeah. And I was just like, oh.
Your heart exploded.
I want that for everybody else on Earth for Superman.
Yeah.
And for Batman again. And for fucking, Hawkman and Hawkwoman. I want them to sit down and be like, Myron, what's this bullshit? And see like a Plastic Man moving and go, I love Eel O'Brien. He's so great. Like for every one of their characters. Because like you were saying, Augustine, every one of their characters deserves that.
Yeah.
I
don't want to see any. In a perfect world, I don't want to see any more. There's a guy on Facebook who asked the question: is Superman brave?
I responded.
I saw your response.
Oh, what was your response? Because
Adam
had the
correct response.
Adam, what's the response?
Let me pull it up.
Adam had the correct response, but there was a guy who's like, no, he's not brave. He's like, he's all powerful and he can do whatever he wants. And I'm just like, you don't understand.
You're not brave. Men are brave.
Question.
You don't understand.
Question: is Superman brave? My response was, by exposing himself as Superman, he runs the risk of everyone on Earth wanting to know more about him, who he is. He runs the risk of people discovering who his family and friends are, and what someone malicious could do with that, use it against him. Despite those risks, he still chooses to serve humanity as its protector, taking on the responsibility of saving others and not always being successful. Superman can very easily be faced with the challenge of having to save two people at the same time and making a choice of who lives and dies and living with that choice. That's bravery.
The other guy was like, "Is there kryptonite around?" Because then, if there is, then if he is, then he's just scared and he doesn't go around it. So he's not brave.
He is the bravest because he. God damn it!
Because
that makes
he
me
cares so much. I know.
It does.
So, but that's the thing, though. That's what I want.
That's what the movie should.
This is what the movie should do. There should be no question to anybody who's a fan of Superman that yes, he is the bravest, not because he's the strongest, but because of what he is and what he is exposed to.
You know what's brave? His fucking wife was killed by the Joker, and you know what he did? He showed up to arrest that man who killed his wife.
He didn't bash his face in.
Because he believes like a fool in the American justice system. Do you know what I mean? Like, and even when he is cynical and knows that isn't always fair, he's like, but we have to keep believing in it. This is the process.
Faith, that's
because
all we got.
Otherwise it is anarchy and chaos, and it's and so that to me is the bravest thing ever. Is the bravest thing ever that he could see that happen and not save her, the love of his life, his tether to humanity. Not really, he is human.
I mean, he is human, yes, but that's what we need. That is what I wish Tsuijihara would have said. You know, like something along those lines. That even though DC is not singularly Superman, Superman encompasses everything that DC stands for.
In a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways, he's the hope, he's the beacon, he's the light, and I want that to go in that direction. But if it takes a couple solo movies to get there, let's get there.
Even though DC, in the immortal words of Will Arnett as Batman, is the house that Batman built. Detective Comics, he's not wrong. The reason Batman is so great is because he is the exception to the norm. He should not be the norm for every superhero.
He's the fish out of water.
He's the fish out of water. And not every superhero should have that same revenge mission, the same tone, the same drive, the same passion, the same anger, the same, that whole personality, that grimness does not work, should not work for everybody. Everybody else should be opposite, and that's what makes Batman unique and cool. Is that he shows up and you're like, this guy doesn't even have any power.
Like, does he even like me?
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't like you, but he'll still help you.
That's what I would love to hear is we can't wait to share with audiences how much we love the whole roster of characters. We can't wait to be able to get to those, but right now we're focusing on what we're focused on, and we're super excited, but man, oh man, we cannot wait to share what we know about these characers with worldwide audiences.
Yeah. Whew. Damn, take that, haters.
I think we almost made Adam cry.
Take that, haters. The last thing we're going to talk about, Tori Flacco asked us to talk about this question. Thank you so much for asking.
Thanks, Tori.
We're going to be talking about Spielberg's opinion about Netflix and digital releases in general.
Oh, man.
So, Adam, you can take this one, brother.
We're gonna go for like another 2 hours, aren't we, Adam?
Nah, I don't think so.
Okay.
So Steven Spielberg doesn't think that Netflix movies should be eligible for Oscars. He compares Netflix originals to TV movies, saying, I don't believe films, and this is something that he'd said, I believe last year or the year before. This is not a current quote. He says, I don't believe films that are just given token qualifications in a couple of theaters for less than a week should qualify for the Academy Award nomination. He's saying that he thinks that Netflix should only be able to compete in the Emmys because it's not a theatrically distributed. Their primary distribution is not theatrical. It's for the television. It's for the consumer to just be able to sit down and watch. There's going to be an upcoming post-Oscar meeting they hold every single year. He's on the board because he represents the director's branch, so he's going to basically present them with some sort of plan or an ask to really figure out, to help them kind of, I don't know, regulate Netflix in a sense, and maybe implement some rules, because they tend to kind of like not follow the quote unquote rules of the Academy as to like what it takes in order for a movie to be qualified in order to be a Best Picture. And I did see a lot of specifically a lot of people were targeting Roma, because that obviously was a big movie that had a very limited theatrical release that was primarily a Netflix original film, because they are the ones who bought the distribution for it. And I did hear from a lot of people in the industry that they were kind of overwhelmed with how hard Netflix was pushing Roma. They got a lot of stuff in the mail, a lot of for your considerations, a lot of like fluffy, nice marketing stuff for people to really like, please consider Roma, please consider Roma, please consider Roma. And I think people like Spielberg think that the scale is not balanced because Netflix kind of doesn't give a shit about how much it spends on a lot of the marketing because their whole end game is to bring in subscribers.
Yeah.
So for them, it's like we can make a movie for we can do the marketing for $30 million, not really care because we hope that in the next quarter we'll bring in 40,000 new subscribers because of this one movie. Whereas like theatrically, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Small budgets have small marketing and they have to pray that like word of mouth and all that sort of stuff helps get the movie out there. So I think it seems like Spielberg is trying to maybe even out the scale a little bit and hope that Netflix will sort of like meet them in the middle. But I feel like it's not really black and white. There's a lot of
Roma isn't black and white actually.
It is in black and white. But I think there's a
grayscale, guys.
There's sort of a lot of like I don't know. There's a lot of things to consider, and I know immediately the thing that people want to jump to is say like, well, Spielberg's an old timer.
Sure.
He needs to get up with the times and realize that like not everybody goes to the theater, not everybody can go to the theater.
Right.
But I think there needs to be some sort of a happy medium where movies like Roma can have a limited theatrical release. I think right now it's a 90-day window in order for them to be qualified for nomination.
They have to be in a theater for at least 90 days?
At least 90 days. And I think Roma was only in theaters for like 3 weeks or something.
Okay. Didn't you say somebody that Roma was in theaters for 13 weeks in some places?
In some places, yeah.
Okay.
So that was the thing that people were frustrated by. It was like in some markets, Roma played for a while.
Yeah.
In other markets, it wasn't. So I think there needs to be sort of like a very clear distinction of like, cool, if you want to be potentially considered for an Oscar, you need to be in the 90-day window. You can't break that. And I think Netflix has been known for breaking that a lot of the times.
Okay.
But the other opposite argument is like, well, there's been movies that have been out in theaters for 1 week and they've been considered for an Oscar nomination. It's like, well, but those are specifically theatrically distributed movies.
Right. So it is already considered a theatrical
right, because that's what it's like being made.
Because that's what it is being promoted as.
Exactly.
Whereas Netflix doesn't always have that designation as like this is a theatrical cut.
I mean, we saw it with Beasts of No Nation. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like they specifically had a very limited theatrical run.
Yeah.
I think it was for
just
like a
so
week
they
or
could
two,
be nominated.
just so we could be like, all right, we put it in the fucking theater. Give us a nomination.
I feel like this is all semantics, and this is Steven Spielberg has every right to say this. Like 100%. And I don't know the rules clear enough. Like, just because I'm not that invested, I don't know what like Netflix has been doing in the background as far as advertising.
They also keep a lot apparently of like box office and analytics. They keep all that behind closed doors.
Right. We don't get to see all that information. We don't get to see why Netflix, remember a while ago, we saw that they were going to take like a $2 billion hit to make all this stuff, you know? Like,
they're always taking
gonna
hits.
Go into debt to make this kind of stuff. Does it pay off in the end? We don't know any of this stuff. And, and I don't think Steven knows this stuff either, but I think he's saying or was saying this just so they could realize that maybe not everybody's playing in the same playground when it comes to this kind of stuff.
I am fine with that as long as Spielberg isn't just attacking the Netflix playground.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
If there's a bunch of issues at play and one of them is, well, Netflix spends a bunch of money on promoting Roma and other films that maybe other studios don't have that kind of budget.
Exactly.
I'll tell Spielberg, that's fine, man, but are you also going to talk about how much some studios do actually spend?
Yeah,
how much of a push Bohemian Rhapsody got for Best Picture? Like, and how much money Fox shelled out for that? And and like, is that fair? And I would just hope that Steven Spielberg, Sir Spielberg, is aware that like it comes across like he is attacking the little guy only because everybody's poor but has Netflix. So it feels like Roma is this. It does feel like it's an underdog, even if it's not.
It feels like a very antiquated thing that he's saying as well.
I happen to disagree with him where he was like, a movie not made for theater shouldn't count as a movie.
Right.
Because again, Roma was made and then like picked up by
Netflix.
Right? Isn't that how that works? So like so I disagree with Spielberg on that. Yeah. But if Spielberg is talking about the spending and about you know,
all the semantic stuff that we
I'm
don't
fine
really
with
know about.
redefining some stuff, and if he's like, well, it should be 3 months, then again, like you were pointing out, Adam, well, there's been other movies nominated for stuff that didn't last 3 months. So if you want to be fair, like it should go across the board for everything.
Back then too,
right? That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So like if it's an across the board, up and down, hey, let's look at all of our rules. As long as it doesn't clearly just looks like it's going to discredit or make it more difficult for Netflix to push great films, because Beast of No Nation, I thought when I saw that, I was like, this could have been nominated for Best Picture
for sure,
because it was incredible, and it had nothing to do with like me being stoked like, ooh, I just get to watch this on Netflix. Like I didn't give a shit, and I don't think that I think more and more people are coming around to that being legitimate. Like it's not illegitimate.
Yeah.
So
there was a quote from an Academy governor who said, "There's a growing sense that if Netflix is going to behave like a studio, there should be some sort of standard." And I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I do think that if you do want to be recognized by the Academy, by the industry, by all that stuff, I do think that clear across the board, whether you're Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, whoever you are, in cooperation with all the motion picture studios, there should be a standard. They should define like, great, if you want to be considered for a Best Picture nomination, here's the criteria.
Right.
No ands, ifs, or buts. You have to meet the criteria.
Every movie before you has followed this rule.
Exactly.
But we don't know how much they enforce those rules either.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like that's going to require them to say like, okay, cool. If this movie plays in a theater, if this is a movie that's meant for theatrical distribution and it plays in a theater for a week, or if it let's say there are very few movies that play for a week. If a movie plays for 4 weeks and doesn't meet the 90-day window, then like it can't be considered.
Right.
And that sucks because it's like Netflix kind of has like unlimited money because they're constantly just going into debt because they're hoping to just recoup all that by bringing more subs, where like a movie from a studio that's an indie doesn't have that.
It doesn't have
your
basically unlimited
your budget's
funds.
your budget.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to make any money for us, so like we can't
give you
justify
more.
giving you more.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's hard.
Yeah, so it sucks that Steven sounds like the old guy in this, but he's also knows a lot more than we do.
Yeah.
And we can't make the argument countering that because he's playing, he's
and it's hard because there's directors,
way.
Like Ava DuVernay who who has like a Netflix, I don't think she's not a Netflix exclusive, but she very much is very involved and she has like some sort of a contract where she's developing multiple projects on Netflix. And for her, she may not get the opportunity to have a movie distributed theatrically.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of a movie how like A Wrinkle in Time did.
Right.
Studios might be like, we don't feel comfortable giving her a budget. But Netflix is like, please, you made an incredible documentary for us. Come make more movies. Come make more shows.
And then we'll try to get you in the Oscars. Yeah.
She should be, if she makes a killer movie that has the potential to be nominated, like it should be able to be nominated.
It feels very anti like the spirit of what a movie is, like it feels very anti-filmmaker. So say he would have said that after a movie like Star Wars came out, if the original Star Wars came out, he's like, well, this only had 3, it fell below the 90-day window, which it very clearly didn't. It was in theaters forever. But say it would have fallen short of that, would he have complained, or like would somebody have said something? So I don't know. It's just, I feel like we could kind of talk about this forever too.
Well, here, I want to read a tweet from Ava DuVernay, who she was tweeting about the story from theplaylist.net. Steven Spielberg to voice his Netflix concerns at upcoming Academy meeting, and she said, "Dear at the Academy, this is a Board of Governors meeting, and regular branch members can't be there, but I hope if this is true that you'll have filmmakers in the room or read statements from directors like me who feel differently. Thanks, Ava DuVernay."
There you go.
And I think that's fair. And also, I wanted to mention the writer that I was following, the editor that I was following, that I mentioned who was tweeting about the Academy Awards was Jacqueline Coley, who you all should follow on Twitter. I feel like you probably do.
Coley?
Yeah. At that Jacqueline, she was saying about the. Let me just scroll down real quick to find it, about the Green Book, Roma, Black Panther, and Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah,
won 3 Oscars. That is all the evidence you need to tell you the Academy is in transition. I expect a few more years like this before we see consistency again. She said, by the way, this is not a comment on quality. It is a comment on taste. Newer, younger Academy voters favored Black Panther and Roma. Older, more established Academy voters favored Green Book and Bohemian Rhapsody. And she kind of kept tweeting about stuff. Not total Bohemian Rhapsody won 4, but I can't bear to say that film leads all. I just can't, is what she said. And she also goes, also not for nothing, but virtually every film school on the planet teaches Hashtag do the right thing. Spike Lee's film.
Yeah.
Which films tonight you think we will be talking about in 20 years?
Yeah.
True.
You know? So I think Jacqueline's awesome, so y'all should be following her.
I think
she's got some other great facts and stuff about all the women and people of color that won at the Oscars, and it was cool. But yes, the Oscars are all bullshit. And talking about Steven Spielberg trying to limit or his concerns with how Netflix is spending, it's like everybody who kind of does those deep dives. And it's funny that comic book dudes are now being like, wait, Black Panther won more Oscars than The Dark Knight did. It's like, dude, if you look more about the Academy Awards history, like you'll know that it is huge amounts of bullshit. There's been great moments of filmmaking history where recognition happens and the right people win awards and they give amazing speeches and like things change. But like it's mostly bullshit. It's really depressing. So do a little bit of a deeper dive more than just your favorite superhero movies and look at the actual history of the Academy Awards. And if that really upsets you, you should do that history search, because then you'll go, oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Right, and your question might be answered by you just digging in a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, in terms of this article, I as someone who like really loves going to the movies, as long as my ability to go to the movies to experience the theatrical experience of watching a movie isn't in some way affected, then like I don't have any issue with Netflix movies or Amazon originals or Hulu movies being incorporated into because again like because these streaming services have a little more flexibility with their money and their budgets, they can pour a little bit more money into marketing. They can pour a little more money into pushing these movies out there. Yeah. Does that sort of skew it one way? It does, but like it's kind of the way
that's
the industry's
name of the game, though. That's the Oscars.
Yep.
They campaign for their movies. Yep. That's a whole nother conversation. But I feel like we need to wrap this one up at this point.
Let's go.
Yeah.
But guys, we're super excited. We're gonna check out Captain Marvel on Monday, so you should be expecting a review from us sometime after that.
Yep.
I think we're embargoed until Tuesday, so we technically can't release it until
yes,
Tuesday.
we're embargoed until Tuesday, but white males are embargoed until forever. They can't fucking see it. You can never see this movie.
How the
Brie Larson said, dude. Brie Larson said.
She said.
That wasn't even me.
No, she didn't.
That wasn't even me, dog.
That was Brie Larson. She said. They said that. They said.
I'm just quoting the actress.
They said you can try to go to the theater, but the movie has this weird frequency where white males will literally not be able to
go blind. They'll take your money.
You'll sit down and go, isn't there supposed to be a movie happening? And everybody else will be like, oh, wow. And you'll be like, I can't see the screen.
My glasses are broken.
It's only broadcasting on the feminist channel. I can't see this.
Why is that 3D?
It's only on the feminist channel.
Shit.
So.
Guys, in the meantime, let us know in the comments below what you thought about everything that we talked about. How do you feel about the Steven Spielberg situation? What are your thoughts on Netflix movies being considered for Best Picture at the Oscars?
Which of these toys would you get?
Why is this guy wearing a hula hoop?
Thank you guys so much for watching. We will catch you guys in the next reaction. We're almost at 100,000. We can't wait to hit that goal.
Dude, share. Get us more people.
Share. See you guys next week.